So I thought I'd make a little overview of the kind of the core components of the 48 volt system that I've selected to power the e-boosters. So it's their all of this is here to power two 48 volt e-boosters. They're let's say about 5 to 6 kilowatts peak each. So that's, let's say, 10 to 12 kilowatts peak total. That's under full boosting. They will only operate like that for very short periods of time until the big turbo takes over. They'll operate at low engine RPM and high loads. So what I have here is a pre-production 48 volt, what's called a mini module from Cascadia Motion. It's built up of Molicel 21700 battery cells. It's also got a slave BMS on it. It's designed to be able to be, let's say, stacked up in series and or parallel with multiple other modules, mini modules, to build out whatever battery voltage and or capacity that you need on an application. This is the Cascadia Motion Master BMS. So this guy communicates with this and controls the battery through these harness connectors here. And this is essentially the brains for the 48 volt system, making sure that the battery is charged and discharged when it needs to be. It also is handling all of the functional safety elements, so things like turning on and turning off the contactors that power up and power down the 48 volt system, driving the coolant pumps. So it's a water-cooled battery pack. The e-boosters are also water-cooled, so this guy will command all of the, let's say, cooling functions. It'll monitor temperatures, so it monitors temperatures of the battery pack. It monitors temperatures of the e-boosters as I program it. Yeah, it handled all that. So this guy is built out to support way more of these. One of these packs is a very easy exercise for this Master BMS to handle. So this guy is super overkill for a single pack, but it'll handle it flawlessly. So these two work well together. For charging, so of course this is the only 48 volt system in the vehicle. Factory system is a 12 volt from 2008. They don't have 48 volt back then for any reason. So this is from SEC America. This is a DC to DC step-up converter, or boost converter. Really high efficiency, relatively high current. So it'll pull a peak of 30 amps from the 12 volt side, and it will deliver about 7 amps or 7.5 amps to the 48 volt pack. I will actually adjust the output voltage a bit higher to establish the peak battery pack voltage, which I think I'll have it somewhere around 54 volts peak. But pretty simple setup where 12 volts goes in, 48 volt comes out, and this has got a circuit breaker. It's nicely housed with some cooling. Not that this thing should get too hot, but these three pieces are the kind of the core components in the 48 volt system. I've got a radiator, a small electric coolant pump, and then in the car already I have one of these guys, which is a Teensy 4.1 microcontroller. Something I just got in the mail today is this touchscreen display, TFT display. It's a 4.3 inch, I think, diagonal. And so the goal here is possibly even, I'll use this and replace the factory DIS screen in the center of the dash. But short term, it'll be mounted in the glove box. So glove box used to have a CD changer. I took out the CD changer and put in this 3D printed panel, which held the water meth controller. This guy's getting tossed out, and I'm designing a new insert to hold the Teensy, to hold some other control bits, and display this screen actually in a horizontal fashion. But this will be essentially the core control and power system for the e-boosters. Battery pack will be mounted on the right side of the trunk, tucked away in the cubby, kind of right behind the rear wheel well area. But I'll be able to access some of the main, let's say, connections, water connections, and electrical connections from the trunk. And these, let's say, plastic covers up top are bolted down, but underneath them are the main studs where you connect the positive and negative. You can see the positive and negative indicators here. Those wires, those, let's say, they're 2 gauge, something like that, wires will come off of this and go down to the e-boosters. They'll also be connected to effectively the trickle charger that this thing will be. And that'll be the 48 volt system in the vehicle with several other small details, but that's it. This guy also communicates via CAN bus. So you can see here, contactors. So that's what turns power on and off. Aux CAN bus. This has multiple CAN bus capabilities. It has some 0 to 5 volt in outs and let's say current sensor in outs, PWM control for some coolant pumps. Outlines the current sensors here. We've got power ground, again, some more contactor controllers, main CAN bus, and then some other communication, high voltage interlock, functional safety bits. So I've got the right plugs here. I've got the pins. I just need to build the wiring harness and get it installed, find a spot in the car and get it installed. So lots of little detail work, but should be coming together here pretty soon.